Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we're back with another video, first video in about 1 week, and we're going to be taking a look at my first raid, Mythic raid, as a Blood Death Knight. Previously I was raiding as Holy Paladin, but I'm switching to Blood for Tomb of Sargeras, so we wanted to get into the new characters, the mindset now, and we'll talk about that as we go here in the video. But before we do, I just want to explain a little bit about why I haven't made a video or streamed in the last week. May not be a big deal for some of you guys, but I don't like going inactive for so long. So unfortunately what happened was this weekend, while all of us were home, my mother was moving a stove and she injured herself pretty bad. So I'm going to show you some images in a second here that may be a little gross. So I'm just giving you guys fair warning before I put them on the screen. But I'm going to put them on the screen now, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the injury and why that stopped me from making videos, and then we're going to talk about the topic at hand, the Blood Death Knight. So embarrassingly enough, on I think it was Sunday. Yeah, Sunday this happened. And she wanted to move a stove, didn't even ask me, and the reason I didn't get involved at first was because, embarrassingly enough, I was doing a Mythic Plus dungeon, and those have a timer, so I was like, we just have to do it later. I can't do it right now. But regardless, she decided to move it herself. It's a very old stove, very heavy and cumbersome, and her and my father tried to move it, and unfortunately, things didn't go very well. Effectively what happened was the stove got caught as they were moving it downstairs, and she stumbled. The weight of the stove then shifted because she was no longer supporting it, and it started to fall downstairs. So I think if anybody could imagine how heavy a stove is, what kind of force that would carry when it's falling downstairs and then lands on your lower leg is a very bad thing. So unfortunately, we're going to be in a very bad situation for the next few months here. Things are really complicated by this. It's a very severe injury, and she's going to need a lot of help with it. So this is probably going to mean, I might have to say, like, not make videos at all summer. I don't know what this is going to do, because I'm barely going to have time to play the game now, let alone continue to work and make videos. While making videos is a substantial source of revenue, I can't really do both. Like the real life job just requires actual real hours. Like, I've spent 9 hours plus 9 to 12 hours there a day. Very difficult to actually make videos as well as help her and stuff. So I hate to say this, but in the description is the link to the donation page that I have on Twitch and YouTube. For some reason you want to use it, I won't stop you, but that's going to be the last time I ask about it or bring it up. So let's get on to the topic at hand, and that is the the first Blood Death Knight raid that I've done. So the reason we're going to show you this footage is not because it's anything special. Okay, I'm frankly very bad at Blood, as you're going to see here already. I'm already panicking and playing very poorly in my first raid. But there are some things that I want to bring up, and hopefully you guys will be able to help me out. This is the main reason we're making this video, is because I'm hoping that you guys will actually be able to help me with some of these things. So the first thing I noticed here after analyzing the logs from last night is that I definitely need to be using Vamp Blood on the pull. So does anybody play Blood in raids? You would agree with that, right? And the reason I think I need to be using it on the pull is because it's just a free usage. With Red Thirst, and especially when I have the belt on, and Dancing Rune Weapon up, I basically get 2 back-to-back Vamp Bloods. I was looking at the logs of other people doing a very good job as Blood Tank, not me, and they basically, they have a Vamp Blood go right into another Vamp Blood. There's like a few second downtime. So is that your guys' experience? And if so, do you find like there's any drawback to actually using them like that? I was playing extremely conservatively, and frankly, this did not help me. I was not learning things at the rate I needed to learn them at, but unfortunately, things did not go well at all last night, and that's because when I switched from healer to tank, this severely compromised the entire raid structure. Previously, I was a Holy Paladin healer, and we don't have an incredible amount of healers, so what this did was kind of set off this chain reaction where, our former tank switched to a DPS, one of our healers switched to a different healer, one of our damage dealers switched to a healer to replace me and accommodate the other tank, and this kind of set off this chain reaction where now all of a sudden everybody wants to switch. So we effectively have 7 out of the 20 players in this raid on new classes. And now I think I'm probably the most geared out of everyone. I think maybe Rookie switched from Frost Mage to BM Hunter, which hopefully will go better for him. If you guys know him, he's obviously been struggling a little bit with it, but regardless, I think, in the long run, this is going to be healthier for the guild. This is what I said in the, when we talked about this as a guild, because I think, it's better for our mental stability. It's better for our, our emotion about the game. Everybody hopefully will get a little bit of breath of fresh air. I know I did. It was actually really fun tanking. But unfortunately, I had no idea just how hard actually tanking could be when you've never done it before, especially. So there's one thing I want to talk about. Now, I go and get that bomb while I have arcing bonds and the boss is coming, the robo's coming out. Now, this is a boss that we killed fucking 24 times, you know what I mean? So it's not in any way dangerous to me, but is this a good idea? Now, the reason I'm bringing it up specifically here, and not just ignore the bomb going off, of course, what a surprise. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing it up specifically here is because as a Holy Paladin, I was incredibly durable. So much so that I fucking loved just running around doing mechanics that nobody else wanted to do because I felt like I was invincible. And especially when I could heal myself in such a way, like with instant holy shocks and stuff like that, I never had any worry about it at all. I love doing these fights where there's like mechanics like that put you in danger. I've always loved it. So do you guys feel like that's the tank's job? Did I do something stupid there about going out and doing that? Like, especially since during that mechanic, the other tank's taking damage. I don't know. I guess I need to line it up better. Is what I'm saying. So first two things about that fight is that, should I be using Vamp Blood on the pull all the time? Do you feel like there's any drawbacks? And second of all, do you feel like it's the tank's job when he's not actually tanking to try to go do some mechanics for other players? I think yes is the answer to both. Now here we go on Spellblade. This is the hardest fight in the dungeon right now for me. I fucking suck dick at this, man. We wiped to this 10 times. By the way, in the description also is logs. So first of all, this ad was such a pain. I had no idea how difficult it was going to be. For some reason, like you taunt it and it doesn't go on you. Luckily, I have 2 taunts, but I use them very wildly and I didn't do a good job with this. So what I've seen a lot of people do is they hug the corner on this ad. So it kind of has to go out towards the middle and then back through. Is that what you guys were doing as tanks? I think this is the way you do it. Here you see me get smashed way too far away. Ad gets fucking enraged. And somehow I don't die. I don't know. I mean, obviously completely out of line of sight of our healers here. I think I died to that once on a previous attempt. But the main problem I'm having here is after this ad is over, now watch this. So, these ads come out, right? These frost ads, and it's like, oh, this is prime time AoE grip situation here, right? So what's happening is I'm gripping them, and they're staying, like we want them on the other tank, right? So I was gripping them, and then they would just stay on me. And, effectively, if they're not in his consecrate and Avenger Shield's not hitting them, he can't have them. But so what's happening is I'm going over there to grip them, and then I'm getting fucking frozen. So look at this. A bunch of people get frozen here. This did not go well this night, one way or the other. But it's a learning experience, and we're going to get better at it for sure. But regardless, I got frozen like 7 or 8 times over the course of these 10 pulls. And I had no idea it was going to be this difficult. Like it's not necessarily difficult, but it's a level of complication that I did not know existed, like actually having to not be in that frost mechanic. So previously what we did, we had a Windwalker monk who's now switched to a Death Knight. He used to put the statue down right on top of the tank. All the ads would funnel in. It'd be a lot easier. But we don't have a single monk in the raid anymore, and we're not going to. So that's no longer an option. But it shouldn't matter, right? I should be able to grip them in. But when I was doing that, like, I don't know. It seemed like the grip does threat or something. I don't really know. But I would grip them to Morgraine, the other tank, and then they would just run to me, even when I was on the other side. So I was going in there, gripping them, and then keeping them there so he could do damage to them. And then, I wouldn't be able to get out of the ice thing in time. Like, I have to get to the other side to drop the next ad. And man, this was just a nuts fight. I cannot believe how many times we wiped this fight. And like 85% of the wipes were because of me. So there he takes the Annihilate and then doesn't take the damage from it. I really don't understand why. I don't know much about this fight. But at this point, I'm going to move the boss over here, and then he's going to take the Fell ad across. And now we're struggling with this severely. These arcane orbs, I never expected them. Like, I never realized how big of a problem they were when you're in melee. As a ranged damage dealer, especially a Holy Paladin, like I said, I feel invincible. They don't bother me. This is probably the best we got. We got a few pulls where I didn't know when and where to move the boss. I didn't know when to keep the boss where, stuff like that. And I'm just not used to it. So we're just going to move. I'm going to pop AMS to make sure I don't take any magic damage from this shit on the way back. And I'm going to have all my CDs up. Got Vamp Blood coming up right now thanks to Red Thirst. And I'm going to use it for Annihilate. Now here's another question I have about these types of encounters. Isn't better to use Vamp Blood for the health to make sure you don't die, or to use it after you take damage to heal yourself up more? So that's another question I've been pondering as I've been looking at logs. I'm watching people, like especially on fights like Crosis, Tichondrus, where you're taking large spikes of damage. I guess it's 2. They're using Vamp Blood after they take the damage, and from what I can tell, for like healing purposes, not actually the health thing. I looked at the health buff as an absolutely insurmountable buff, but maybe what the right play to do is use it like as close to the split second as you possibly can, so you get the extra health, but you have it up for a good few seconds after you take the damage to heal up. So how do you guys feel about that? Let me know. I think that's, that makes sense to me, but I might be missing something. But, Vamp Blood is effectively a 45-second CD. I think, that's pretty generous. I'm usually able to get it down that low thanks to the belt and, Red Thirst, of course, as a talent. But in terms of the actual usage of it, I just don't know. Like I said, I watch a lot of people basically use it a lot more than I'm using it, and that's partially because I basically have half the haste of every other player I looked at. It's actually quite funny. I was looking at other logs of DK's similar item level. They literally have twice the haste that I do. I have about 6,800 on Warcraft logs, and other players had like 13 to 14,000. So yeah, not good. But anyway, I actually avoid getting frozen there, which is, I think this is the only pull where I don't get frozen at least once, which is just embarrassing. And yeah, I don't know. The other thing I'm struggling to use, as I can tell, is using a second potion, but also using, what's the name of the Blood Mirror. Yeah, I'm struggling to use Blood Mirror properly. So I saw a few threads about Blood DKs using it very offensively, and me, that's kind of what I aligned with. I was like, oh fuck yeah, let's go offense, full offense. But, there's got to be a way to use it properly defensive, and also, because first of all, it's also a self-heal. I'm not really sure why, but regardless, yeah, using it properly was something I did not do very well through the course of these 4 some hours here that we raided last night. But yeah, no, this is a fight that I know you could use it to high efficacy. So, and then this was the one I was talking about. I have everything up, but I don't use Vamp Blood because I was like, I'm going to need it, and I should use it for defense here. Like, I'm not even taking damage right now, so there's no reason to use it. But, I am taking a little bit of damage, and it would actually put up higher blood shield on me. If I used it and then get a bunch of blood shield and actually keep that blood shield up, then when I taunt, I'm going to have a huge blood shield on me. So it's like, I think that's what I should be doing, right? Like, I think that's the way to do it. So that's that. But also on logs of this fight, we'll come back to the Blood Mirror thing in a second, but also on logs of this fight, I've seen a lot of people basically doing like 2 to 3 times more healing than I did with Death Strike. Now, frankly, I'm just not playing very well. There's no doubt about that. I'm playing very, very fucking poorly. I know I can play better. Just looking at my own video, it's embarrassing to watch. It's like, what the fuck was I doing, man? I could play so much better. Death Strike's up right now, and I'm not fucking, like shit like that. I'm not building for it. I'm not using it. So shit like that. It's like, when is the best time to use Vamp Blood, and how do I use it to effectively increase my healing? Because I feel like that's the most important part. My self-healing is my mitigation effectively, so I have to maximize that. And on top of that, with Blood Mirror, using that properly. So like there, I used it to soak the first slam. It does a sizable amount of damage, I assume. But a lot of people, I saw them using it very offensively. They were using it on the boss and then eating the whatever the beam, like whatever the name of the beam is called. And I could even, AMS, I guess. I don't know if I was even going to die to it, but I talked about this before raid, and I was like, fuck this. I'm not even going to try it, because if we wipe because I die to that beam, that just looks so stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. So I didn't do it at all. I think I actually got hit by a beam once, but it wasn't on purpose. And I did actually survive, if I remember correctly. So I don't know. Don't know how it works, but regardless, also struggling with Soul Drinker or whatever. Or no, I don't know, Blood Drinker, whatever the name of the ability, like the new golden trait is. I can never remember. I think it's Soul Drinker. I should try to be keeping that up as often as possible around high damage points. That's a problem we had with Tichondrus as well, which I didn't include in this video. But yeah, regardless, I got 30 like a 30% one there. It's not too bad, but I should be able to keep that up a lot higher, especially on phases where I'm not actually tanking. Like, the way I look at it is I should, especially, with the Vamp Blood discussion, I could use that during, whenever it's up, basically get as much blood shield as possible, and then I'm also getting 30% extra health, so then when I taunt, I'm all the safer. But I don't know, I'll need some help here, because frankly, I've been like watching the Blood Death Knights like portion of the Discord, And it's kind of useless. The people on there are just talking about really specific, almost nonsense things, like just shit that I just don't even care about. Like people talking about trinket discussions and very specific stuff that just doesn't affect me right now. And like the Troxism dude who's made, you know, who was, I guess, like in the head theory craft or whatever you'd call it, just doesn't seem very engaged. Like, I don't know. If it was me and I had the time that some of these people have to play, I would be making second by second breakdown. Like, I don't know. I have some grand schemes for World of Warcraft, and if I just actually had the time to play this game full time and actually make enough money from doing this daily, man, you guys, I think you'd be impressed anyway. But regardless, step one is learning how to fucking play the game at a high enough level to continue rating, let alone do that. But anyway, I've enjoyed it so far. So yeah, hopefully you guys have you know, some answers for some of my questions. You see any things I'm doing very poorly, let me know. I'm trying to think of other mistakes I made. But yeah, the group is just not doing well overall. Like, you could tell the changes, you know, the 7 changes we made out of the 20 have severely impacted the morale. Not even the morale, but kind of like the psyche of the group. Really, it's like a social, it's like social and economic. Okay. It's like a psychological thing is what I'm trying to fucking say, except I'm a retard. Anyway, it's like it's more in the mindset of the players, you know. It's like losing the damage and switching characters and stuff like that doesn't really affect much outside of when I'm wiping us because I'm taunting poorly, or maybe I'm dying occasionally. I don't think I actually wiped. I don't think we actually died because I wiped to something that I just didn't do right. But Tichondrius especially, I made a lot of miscues, taunting right back off the bloods, potentially, you know, doing that mechanic, soaking the 2 hits as blood. I struggled with a lot. I didn't include footage of that, but I was using AMS, Vamp Blood, and Blood Mirror for the second soak, where I get the 4 stacks on the main phase there. And I felt like I wasn't able to really get a good gauge of it, and I didn't save the footage because we didn't get what we wanted out of it. But I wasn't able. I felt like the absorb wasn't actually working. So has anybody actually done that as blood? Does AMS actually work for that? I'm not even sure. But regardless, on top of that, the other thing I've been trying to do is get as much value out of the leech as well. Like, it's a small amount, and it's great in 5 minutes because there's tons of AoE, but you know, every little bit helps. It's doing a few million healing per pull, and that's not bad. So I don't know, so far so good. I would say we definitely did not get where we wanted out of last night, but I knew it was going to happen, and a lot of it was my fault, frankly. Like, I really struggled to adapt to the actual mechanics of tanking. And you know, there's some of these fights, man, they have a lot more mechanics than I expected. So we'll get it. We'll figure it out. I'm really excited about playing Blood in Tomb of Sargeras. So hopefully you guys can help me. You know, if you have any tips or anything like that, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for listening to the sob story there at the beginning. You know, hopefully everything goes well. I really don't know, but as of right now, I just can't be consistent.